Barack Obama adalah salah satu pemimpin paling inspiratif di era modern. Sebagai Presiden Amerika Serikat ke-44, ia tidak hanya membawa perubahan, tetapi juga menunjukkan bahwa kepemimpinan adalah tentang keberanian, empati, dan visi. Tapi apa yang bisa kita pelajari dari kepemimpinannya? Dalam video ini, kita akan mengupas rahasia kepemimpinan Barack Obama dan bagaimana kamu dapat menerapkannya dalam kehidupan kamu. Mari kita mulai.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Kepemimpinan bukan hanya tentang jabatan ataupun kekuasaan. Ini tentang kemampuan untuk menginspirasi, membawa perubahan, dan bekerja bersama orang lain untuk mencapai tujuan bersama. Barack Obama menunjukkan bahwa kepemimpinan yang efektif dimulai dengan mendengarkan dan berkomunikasi. Dia menjadi sosok pemimpin yang dengan rendah hati dan dengan kepala dingin menggabungkan empati dengan visi yang kuat. Seorang pemimpin perlu memiliki gambaran jelas tentang apa yang ingin dicapai. Nah, di sini visi untuk membantu tim memahami arah yang harus diambil. Pemimpin yang baik peduli dengan perasaan dan kebutuhan orang lain. Mereka mendengarkan dan memahami perspektif orang lain sehingga bisa membangun hubungan yang kuat. Pemimpin harus bisa mempengaruhi orang lain untuk bekerja sama tanpa harus memaksa. Mereka mengajak orang lain untuk berpartisipasi dalam mencapai tujuan.
It was 17 years ago. It was over 17 years ago when I took a trip to Springfield, Illinois. It was a cold February day, and I went there to support this brilliant young senator who was running for president of the United States. And millions of Americans were energized and inspired not only by Barack Obama's message, but by how he leads, seeking to unite rather than separate us. And that is why in 2007, I went New Year's Eve to Iowa to knock on doors in the snow. And all these years later, Barack Obama, I say to you, your friendship and your faith in me and in our campaign means the world. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Barack Obama selama masa kepresidenannya, Obama dikenal karena pendekatannya yang terbuka dan komunikatif. Dia sering berbicara dengan masyarakat dan mendengarkan masalah mereka. Ia menunjukkan bahwa kepemimpinan juga tentang menjalin hubungan yang baik. Ia terlibat dengan langsung dengan masyarakat, seperti berbicara dengan warga ataupun berinteraksi dengan anak-anak. Ini menunjukkan bahwa mereka menghargai orang-orang yang menjadi pemimpin mereka. Nah, kepemimpinan ini berfokus pada bagaimana seorang dapat membawa orang lain bersama-sama untuk mencapai sesuatu yang lebih besar. Ini melibatkan nilai-nilai seperti komunikasi, empati, dan kemampuan untuk memotivasi anggota-anggotanya. Seorang pemimpin yang baik tidak hanya memimpin dari depan, tetapi juga mendukung dan menginspirasi orang-orang di sekitarnya.
Story behind a little girl who charmed the president, then had to charm her teacher with a note explaining why she didn't show up for kindergarten.
It was the tweet that went out this last week from the White House, the president towering over that little visitor, 5-year-old Alana Puyard, her mother, a wounded warrior still recovering. And her dad couldn't believe what happened when she saw the president.
And she jumped into his arms, threw her arms around his neck. He gave her a hug and a kiss, and they were then maybe 50 feet away. I have no idea what they said.
And while he doesn't know what they said, he knows what the president wrote to her kindergarten teacher. Please excuse Alana from school. She was with me, the president. And little Alana says before the president gave her that note, he also gave her some advice. Show it to your teacher, but hold on to it afterward.
He said, don't give it to your teacher. He said, show it to your teacher.
And it turns out other young faces have followed that advice before. That's Tyler Sullivan right there from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The president pulling out his Sharpie.
He says,
Do you want me to write an excuse note? What's your teacher's name? And I say, Mr. Ackerman. Then he writes, Mr. Ackerman, please excuse Tyler. He was with me, Barack Obama, the president.
Right there alongside the trophies, it's now been framed. President Obama is not the first to share executive privilege with a little one. George W. Bush helping Nia Borgia, 12 at the time, from Queens, New York. She'd written her own note, her own excuse, writing, I had a scheduled appointment with the president. I'll be missing school. President George W. Bush signing his name, adding, this is true. And tonight, add one more little girl beaming in her blue dress, scoring a rare presidential pardon.
And now she's headed back to kindergarten with a story.
Apa yang membuat Barack Obama menjadi pemimpin hebat? Yang pertama, visionernya. Obama memiliki visi yang jelas tentang harapan dan perubahan. Dalam kampanyenya, ia mampu menyatukan jutaan orang di bawah pesan positif tentang masa depan. Berikut contoh cuplikan.
My fellow Americans, it has been the honor of my life to serve you. I won't stop. In fact, I will be right there with you as a citizen for all my remaining days. But for now, whether you are young or whether you're young at heart, I do have one final ask of you as your president. The same thing I asked when you took a chance on me 8 years ago. I'm asking you to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. I'm asking you to hold fast to that faith written into our founding documents, that idea whispered by slaves and abolitionists, that spirit sung by immigrants and homesteaders and those who marched for justice, that creed reaffirmed by those who planted flags from foreign battlefields to the surface of the moon, a creed at the core of every American whose story is not yet written. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Kedua, komunikator yang efektif. Obama dikenal sebagai pembicara yang hebat. Ia menggunakan kata-kata untuk menginspirasi, memotivasi, dan membangun hubungan dengan berbagai lapisan masyarakat. Berikut contoh cuplikan video.
Nobody is going to give you anything that you have not earned. Nobody cares how tough your upbringing was. Nobody cares if you suffered some discrimination. You have to remember that whatever you've gone through, it pales in comparison to the hardships previous generations endured, and they overcame them. And if they overcame them, you can overcome them too.
Ketiga, empati. Sebagai pemimpin, ia selalu mendengarkan kebutuhan rakyatnya, berbicara langsung ke hati mereka. Berikut contoh cuplikan pada video.
Presiden Amerika Serikat Barack Obama mengunjungi korban badai tornado pada hari Minggu waktu setempat. Obama meninjau langsung dampak kerusakan akibat tornado di daerah Moore, Oklahoma. Selain mengunjungi para korban tornado, Presiden Obama juga menyampaikan apresiasinya kepada para tim penyelamat yang bertindak cepat dalam bencana alam ini. Badai tornado yang terjadi pada Senin pekan lalu telah menewaskan 24 orang dan 350 orang dilaporkan luka-luka. Selain itu, badai dengan angin berkecepatan 322 km per jam juga menghancurkan 13.000 rumah warga. Kerugian akibat badai ini diperkirakan mencapai $2 miliar Amerika Serikat.
Keempat, keberanian mengambil keputusan. Sebagai presiden, ia menghadapi banyak tantangan, dari krisis ekonomi hingga masalah kesehatan. Ia berani mengambil keputusan yang sulit demi kebaikan bersama. Berikut contoh pada cuplikan videonya.
Last month, I went to Andrews Air Force Base and welcomed home some of our last troops to serve in Iraq. Together, we offered a final proud salute to the colors under which more than 1 million of our fellow citizens fought, and several thousand gave their lives. We gather tonight knowing that this generation of heroes has made the United States safer and more respected around the world. first time in 9 years, there are no Americans fighting in Iraq. For the first time in 2 decades, Osama bin Laden is not a threat to this country. Most of al-Qaeda's top lieutenants have been defeated. The Taliban's momentum has been broken, and some troops in Afghanistan have begun to come home. These achievements are a testament to the courage, selflessness, and teamwork of America's armed forces. At a time when too many of our institutions have let us down, they exceed all expectations. They're not consumed with personal ambition. They don't obsess over their differences. They focus on the mission at hand. They work together. Imagine what we could accomplish if we followed their example.
Kelima, kemampuan memotivasinya. Pesan-pesan Obama seperti Yes We Can telah menjadi simbol semangat untuk terus berjuang, bahkan di tengah kesulitan. Berikut contoh cuplikan videonya.
Yes, she can. Yes, she can.
Barack Obama menunjukkan kepada kita bahwa kepemimpinan bukan tentang kesempurnaan, tetapi tentang keberanian, empati, dan visi untuk masa depan.